Hello, it's Friday morning. Yeah, pretty close to 10. So it's time for, there will be little bits, tiny bits, itsy bitsy little bits of relaxing painting with Dyson Dungeons today. And then mostly just filing and sanding these parts, which are the panels that go around the outside of the command bridge, which is the thing I'm working on, which is over there, so I can show it to you later. So this is the captain's chair that goes here. I finished this on Wednesday. I think that came out pretty well, considering what I was working with. And then this is the chair, and it's got all these little buttons and knobs and things that need to be made different colors and, you know, make it look like there's controls. I primed this and then masked the seat, so I wanted the seat to be gray, which it will be mostly, but the tape pulled away. I've never had that happen before with the masking tape that I was using, so I expect when I take this off that there's going to be white paint on there, and I'm going to have to do some touching up somehow with the primer. I don't want to paint the whole thing, so let's see what I'm into. And take the tape off and see how badly is this messed up. Might as well start a Friday by finding out how much of a mess it is. Yeah, it's pretty messy. Sigh. That was a sigh. See how this came out. Yeah, that's not good either. Well, the effort I made to put masking tape on this so that I didn't have to mess around painting it, that shortcut turned out not to work. So I have and that side is okay. It's just little spots like there in the corner and up along the top. Maybe a little bit here. This side's better than that side. I'm not sure what to do here. See, that's how it's supposed to be. Kind of like that. And then the tape is it came down too far onto the seat. You know, but I'm gonna just brush paint, gray paint on this. I'm gonna try to get that line right. Well, it was worth a try. I think it was worth trying, but it just didn't work. So let's see what I can do with it. I'm going to paint I'm going to get the seat thing done first, because if worse comes to worse, if I mess it up, I'm going to have to just redo the whole thing. I may end up with that. I'm not sure. So let's see. I'm going to get my color chart out, which is way over there. I have many gray tone paints. Maybe the thing I was looking for is in here. I don't know. You can't see what I'm looking at because it's off camera. Ha. On you. Well, there's neutral gray. It's a little lighter than the paint that's on there. I think that could be okay. Stonewall gray. Stonewall gray is too light. Guess I don't have as many gray choices as I thought I did. So I could either do dark gray or neutral gray. I guess I'm just going to do... actually, if I'm painting over it, I could paint it any color I wanted. I could paint it like light sea gray. I could paint it... I want a gray tone. I could do field blue, that's pretty dark. Well, I'm disappointed. Disappointed in how this turned out. Excuse me. Well, it's going to be like that, huh? You could even do medium blue. That's kind of cool. I could give Captain Kirk kind of a bluish gray seat. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Well, this is a sighing day, isn't it? I'm doing a whole lot of sighing already. What did I say? Medium blue? I haven't used this in a long, long time. Used to use these paints a lot when we were painting dungeon tiles because they come in larger quantities, okay? And the dungeon tiles, it would go through paint really quickly, really fast, because they're, the surface area is large. I need to get my brush selection on here. And this is the brush I'm going to use for the little dots. I need one for the edges. This will be a good one for the edges. Yeah, I think I'll use this. I could use this one. I've used this for larger surfaces in the past. That works pretty well. And I'll keep these out. Well, it didn't turn out like I wanted it to. And so pretty much what's happening here is that I'm going to end up using like 20 plus minutes of time fixing a problem that shouldn't have existed. If the masking had worked, take the masking off, it's done, because it was already painted gray. But the shortcut failed. It was a failure, and now I need to paint the seat, and I'm going to do that. Down. I find that the contrast with the white makes it easier. Well, hi, Who. Thanks for joining in. I'll do a flip before I get started. Why not? Here, this one's always good because it's like a or something. It's like a, who knows what that's supposed to be. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have my large print chat screen up yet again because I've never gotten around to bothering Alexis, our DM. It was off screen. I don't know. I lost track of how many I flipped there. It's mostly this side. I haven't gotten around to bothering her with trying to find the instructions about how to make it come back. Because somewhere around here, I'm not sure where, is a set of instructions that says click on these things and it'll work. Just pieces of paper. I should go through those. Maybe I will in a little while. These are extra Apollo stickers. I'm just going to stick those with the Apollo model. I don't need to have this out here. I'm just finding stuff that's in the way. I'm going to digress. No, I don't belong to that. This is, you make do with stuff that you've got, and we happen to have a binder from the Gemological Institute of America, and it's just cheaper to use something that's laying around than it is to buy something. I suppose we could. I suppose we could get a branded binder with the Dyson Dungeons logo on it. That would be a good use. If you go to patreon.com/Dyson Dungeons, patreon.com/Dyson Dungeons, become a patron. When you become a patron, write a note that says, I want my patron support to go toward buying an embossed Dice and Dungeons ring binder for the paint color charts and miscellaneous bits of paper. That would be a really good use of everything. So what I've noticed this week is that I've become, I don't know, for some reason, just really less coherent than usual. I'm not saying something. I wonder why that is. I'm mixing this paint thoroughly on the thing that vibrates. You get the rave effect here. See if I can really get it going. Yeah, I don't know if you find that annoying or amusing. But you can't hear the buzzing sound because of the filter on the microphone. I've talked about that. Supposedly this stirs the paint more effectively than just shaking it. I guess I believe that. Although I like to shake it anyway, just because. Let's see if I make a mess of this and have to start over by repriming it and repainting the whole thing. Or whether I can pull it off. I'm not sure. I'm going to get a nice straight line down here. Yeah. Okay, well, it looks straight to my tired old eyes. as much as I can see. Same thing there. Yeah, this is kind of a nice color. It'll look nicer than the gray. I guess it's fair that Kirk has a nicely colored seat cushion. Let's see what happens on the other side. It went okay too. No, it didn't go okay there in that corner. Wonder if I can just wipe that off quickly. Sometimes you can get the paint off. Yeah, see? Before it goes very far. Oh, that was bad. Wonder what happened with that. It's like it just wiped the pearlescent paint off. Well, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna hand brush that and see if I can't fix it. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. Yeah, just went quiet on us all here. Well, for some reason, I'm not getting these brushes clean with just using water lately. I don't understand quite what the issue is. Well, this was supposed to be done by now. I mean, I should have had all the little dots painted, but now I'm painting the seat cushion, and then I have to repaint parts of the pearl white stuff. Hopefully I can do that, because I got little bits of paint where I didn't want it. I remembered the whole camera is askew. There, is that better? I don't know. It's a question of personal preference, whether it was okay askew or not. I guess it'll be okay. It's going to be as okay as I need it to be okay. Okay, I need one of these little cups again. I'm going to be painting. See if I can find one of the. I don't care about this much brush. I'm just wandering off, and that's just the way it is. I'm trying to salvage this without having to start all over with it. What the heck? What did I? Oh my God! What did I do here? How did that happen? Oh. Okay. See? Somehow I did it. I touched the I don't know. I can't. I'm just not even going to say anything. I touched the wet paint with my finger. I just did it. Just touched it. Why not? Just did it. Just touched it. And then got it on the side. And I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to, how, really, this whole thing just really might, this might be lapsing into disaster territory here. No, there's a bristle that's... It's like a rogue bristle on this brush. Seriously. I don't know how many times I've talked about that. About how I'm not careful sometimes when I pick things up or move them around. And I did it right there. And then there's paint on the side. I have no idea if I'm going to be able to fix this or not. I'm going to try like a shortcut kind of fix just to do it. And then if that doesn't work, cleaning up the bristles on the brush. If that doesn't work, then seriously, I'm going to have to reprime this and start over. I have no idea how this is going to go. I'm putting my money on not well. I'm giving this like about a 15% chance of working. It was sort of working. I just stuck my finger in it again. I did. I stuck it right across the front. Kind of. It's just like, how would that even be possible? Okay, when this dries, I'll take a look and see how it looks. It might be okay. I mean, it might turn out okay. Need to touch up the front a little bit. Oh, no, really? What happened here? It's dissolving. It's like dissolving the primer underneath. This is so bad. If I can get them to be symmetric, it won't look too bad, but I don't know if they're going to be symmetric or not. Seriously, I have no clue what's going on there. Okay, this is just a disaster. Okay? I mean, it just is. And, it turned out okay there, but not here. All right. Well, what happened was it just didn't go well. It just went badly. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna have to start over. Seriously, I thought this would be like easy, and it was okay, and then it was like one thing after the other. It was going okay, and then when I put the blue paint on it, a tiny little spot, just this tiny little spot that I didn't like, and as has frequently happened, on, this is not very relaxing painting with Dyson Dungeons, okay? What has frequently happened and what happened here is that my effort to touch that up just led to one major mess after the other. And it just kept getting worse and worse. And everything I did to try to fix it just made it worse. So I think I'm going to have to redo it. I'm going to have to reprime it and repaint it. I just don't see any other way around it. And after I reprime it, I'm going to try the, I know it didn't work. Okay. And the definition of something is doing the same thing and then hoping to get a different result, but I've only done it once and I saw what the problem was. So maybe I can retape it. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to retape it after I prime it and see if I can't get the shortcut that I originally was intending to do, which was to just use the primer as the seat cushion. Although I really like this color, I can't salvage this anymore. I can't without repainting it. So that got screwed up. I was all set to finish the captain's the whole command station assembly today, and wow, just a classic example of one thing not going well leading to another thing going poorly, going to another thing going poorly, until it was just an unmitigated disaster. It can't be fixed. So I'm going to repaint it and reprime it and start over. I'm a little bit tempted to, no, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to, I got the sides on that really pretty well. It was actually going okay, except right down here, the brush slipped a little bit and got onto that. And then I tried to touch it up, and then it just kept going badly, and then I touched the wet paint and touched it to another spot. And you just saw the cascade of not going well, like that. Okay, well, I'm just going to let this dry, and then still got this. Use the same piece of cardboard. Just start it over. Stick it on there, and just try again. That's all I can do is just make another go of it. It isn't really doing anything to the eventual conclusion of the model. I can be working on other bits of this, because this just goes on this, and then this just close to the very end gets attached to the ring. So, other than the time it's going to be wasting, mostly off camera. It'll be mostly off camera because I'll be spray painting. But there it is. What a day. What a way to... At least I got a lot of this paint. I got a lot of this color. I bought a whole extra one for the Apollo model. I could use the white primer on this. No, I'm gonna try the shortcut technique. I'm gonna try the shortcut thing about using the gray primer, and then because I've got that, and then taping it and then spraying it white 3 or 4 coats or whatever it took. Okay. Let's see if I can do something without creating more damage, huh? What are the odds of I'm dropping things too. Wow. I'm not sure why I'm keeping this. Okay, I'm just going to take off sprue pieces, clean up the edges where the excess plastic oozed out, because there's always these edges, you can feel them. Hear it click. Oh. And then I'm going to sand some of the stuff off the back. Oh yeah, I need to put labels on it. And I'm probably going to make a major mistake with this. I'm going to paint the backs of these gray just so that they look better than just raw plastic. Because this is a circle. The model is a circle, and you can see the back of it. And then I'm going to tape the edges and use the gray primer on the back. Maybe, if the rest of this doesn't go terrible. If the rest of this goes okay today. I didn't label this. I don't know what it is. All these little bits of sandpaper that are basically trash. I keep holding on to them when I shouldn't bother. And then I can't tell what they are. Okay, I've got plenty of this 600, that'll be okay. I need more of this 1000 grit. Let me see if I find another sheet of it. Yeah, here's a whole other sheet. That's for polishing the edges after I get rid of the sprue marks. I don't need to polish the backs because they're just going to be flat gray. So what have I got left? A little over 2 hours. Let's see how this goes. I'd like to, since I have to reprime, reprime the captain's chair and start over with that. And I have the gray primer on. I might as well try to prime these guys too, right? Let's get it all done at once. That would be a good thing. It's one thing, it's pretty easy to overlook is the edges, where there's this little lip of plastic that oozes out, and around the edges from the molding process, and it's fairly almost invisible, but once it's painted, it'll show, and sometimes it really interferes with how the parts will fit together even. So I find that if I don't think of it and get rid of it at this stage of model prep, it causes a problem later. Not that there isn't going to be a problem later. I can guarantee there will be, because you saw what happened this morning. It was going along really well, except for a tiny little spot of blue paint where just right at the very end, where I didn't get the edge right, and there. It was one cascading disaster after the other. I'll probably mention this several times over the next however time I take on the stream today. Is we have I think I've mentioned this, that there's a construction project that's supposed to be happening, but as part of that, we're doing some of the work ourselves, and there's a gigantic pile of wood that needs to be stained and varnished. And I'm going to be trying to do that, get two batches of staining and varnishing done a day. Which means once in the morning and once in the evening, and the once in the morning, I'll just say this. I'm starting next week. What? I can't even use scissors today. Good grief. So the once in the morning thing will happen while this stream would ordinarily start. Okay. And so I'm going to be looking for the number. It's 12. I'm going to be starting later next week. I'm going to be I'm planning right now, and I don't know if this will actually happen. I'm planning to do the staining and varnishing like in the morning between like 8:30 and 10:30. I'm just getting, there's just little blobs and like numbers and stuff that, even though it's just painted with the primer, they're going to show and they'll look stupid. There's circles. I'm not going to do anything about the circles. It's just the back of the model. Can only get so compulsive before it gets pointless. So the back of the model is going to kind of look like the back of the model. I don't understand these little bits. But yeah, so I'm planning to do the staining and varnishing in the morning, and so I'm going to plan on, and we'll see how this goes, But right now, I am planning on starting at 11, like going from 11 until 1, or maybe if things are going okay, it's kind of what are the chances? What are the odds? But if things are going okay, I might go longer than 1, but right now I'm planning from 11 until 1 starting next week. Instead of 10 until 1. So for a couple of weeks until we're done with this thing, it all has to be washed. Keep washing that with some isopropyl alcohol. So for at least a couple of weeks, I will be starting at 11. That's the plan, to start at 11 instead of 10, so that I can get a batch of these boards stained and varnished, so that I can get 2 batches done a day, because even at doing 2 batches a day, it's going to take a full week to just get the staining done. And then the varnish might take longer because it dries more slowly. We'll have to see how long it stays tacky. So for at least 2 weeks, possibly 3, I'm going to be, this stream will be 11 until a number. A number that will be between 1 and 2. So, but I want to keep it going for a couple of reasons. One is, there's some people actually like this. They like to drop in and see what disaster awaits today. Like the captain's chair. They managed to disasterate something that was actually going along really pretty well until a tiny spot of paint messed it up. And it was just a little bit of, I didn't want it there, and then there wasn't any way to touch it up. I wonder if I'd be better off just brush painting that. Nah, I'll try one more time. And if that doesn't work, if the one more time doesn't work, then I'll not fulfill the definition of whatever it is, insanity or something, of doing the same thing over and over, hoping for a different result. So I think trying it twice, learning from the mistake and attempting to do it a second time without that mistake, I think that's fair. But doing it a third time, that would be dumb, so I'm not going to do that. Made this number thing so that I could put the number thing on it, and then I didn't put the number thing on it. Great. But I remembered in time. Well, today was, it was like, oh, this will be easy. I'll take the tape off. It'll look great. Then the shortcut would have worked. It didn't work. I tried to fix it by brush painting, which worked, which was actually going really well. I got the lines really well. And then just one little spot on the very, very bottom of the chair where the brush, I was holding the brush at the wrong angle. And then I attempted to fix that by using the spray paint with a brush. And that didn't go well. And then I stuck my finger on the wet paint and touched the part that was already spray painted. And then, I don't know, then something bizarre happened with the touching up I was doing, because it worked in one spot and not in another. And essentially what happened was the whole captain's chair needs to be completely redone. And that's what I'll do, is I'll reprime it, I'll retape it, see if I can't make that work, repaint it with the pearlescent, and then hopefully that will work. If it doesn't, I'm not sure. I'll do something. I'll come up with some other ineffective solution, maybe. But that was just, it was just seriously such a classic relaxing disaster with Dyson Dungeons moment, series of moments. You know how, they talk about like air disasters, right? Why not? Let's talk about air disasters. And how those are almost always like a sequence of events, not just one thing. But it's, this happens, and then that should happen, and the other thing should happen, and something, and it's just a sequence of things that go wrong. That's what happened with the captain's chair. It was like something tiny went wrong, and the response to that went wrong, and the response to that went wrong, and the response to that went wrong, until it was unrecoverable. That's how 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl happened too. Is if you watch this stream, from the beginning, and you watch what happened with the captain's chair, you'll have an example of what went wrong with like 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl, where something was happening and it was like routine, and then an unexpected thing happened, and then the attempt to fix that just led to another thing that led to another thing, led to another thing, until it was a disaster. And I have to say that the captain's chair, the consequence of the captain's chair sequence of problems, certainly did not match, the seriousness of 3 Mile Island, or definitely not Chernobyl. But the same sort of thing of just one thing leading to another, just one mistake leading to another mistake. That sort of thing, just happened. The same sort of thing. So there, it was. This is not a how-to do modeling or painting show, but it sure is. Hopefully you had some enlightenment there about how disasters occur. Because you could just watch that sequence of events of attempting, the shortcut didn't work. And so I was brush painting on the seat, and it was, oh, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good, and it was, this tiny little spot, like a third of a square millimeter, right? And it just doesn't look right. Let me see if I can't fix that. And then the spray paint just pulled away from the substrate, and then I got my finger in the wet paint, and I touched the model in a spot that was that was really visible, and it just accelerated from there. And then the effort to fix it was actually going pretty well. It's like, that looks okay, but it only looked okay on one side, and the reaction of the paint on the other side was totally different. And so it became, untenable. At that point, it became unrecoverable, and disaster was declared, and it's a do-over now. Well, this is weird. There's like a fold in the plastic. I don't know if you can see it, but there was just I'm sanding it out because it was right on the top here. Just unevenness, significant unevenness in the top of the plastic there. Wow, there too. I didn't see it at first, but I feel that there's an indentation. As I'm sanding this now, you can start to see it. This little darker crease there, right there, that diagonal. That's it's a wrinkle in the mold, in the plastic. And it's pretty deep. I'm not sure I can get it completely out without creating like a divot. Well, okay. This is a model that recreates a TV set from the 1960s, so I guess, a wrinkle is a feature, not a flaw, right? All of these edges have a little bit of extrusion. That creates like a little edge. This one has, I don't know what happened here. It's not paint, because this part didn't come anywhere near any paint. I can tell you that for sure. I'm not just making that up. But it's dark there, and if this is going to be painted a light color, it's going to show. So after I do the top of this, before I do the back, while I'm noticing it, I should check the other parts too to see if something similar shows up. And just try to rub it with some sandpaper to see if it comes off. very odd. It's yeah, it just comes right off. So I'm not sure what that was. Well, it's better not there than there. This is number 10. And in a couple of places, there's this brown on the plastic, which is, I don't understand why that's there. It's really weird. So there's molding circles in all of these that I can't really get rid of. But what I can do is make sure that the edges it's rubbing out the number here. And smoothing off the edges at least. Number 10 doesn't want to go away. The other numbers gave up much more easily. See, at least these circles, they have kind of a raised edge around the divot. At least the least I can do is sand that down. When these things pulled away from the mold, little bits of plastic adhered to it, so these tiny little dimples, little raised spots, kind of a rash. It's like a hat. That's what it's like. It has a rash. There's a lot of dust on these, so before I paint them, I will be washing them down, wiping them down with isopropyl alcohol, to get the dust off. And then, yeah, I'll have time today. I'm going to tape these, mask them, mask the edges here, and so that I can spray primer on the backs. I'm going to attempt, because I'm going to be using white colored paints on these. This is going to be metallic. I'll be multiple coats of paint. I'm going to test to see whether the white tones adhere to the plastic without primer. It's just it would just move things along more quickly, and I think it would look good, and the colors would look good if I didn't have to prime them. Well, what I was going to do, and I never got around to it. Hi. Let me put my glasses on so I can see and chat. Got plastic dust all over my pants. Nice. I don't have my large print screen up. What are we working on? I'm going to bring the box top over so people can see what I'm working on. This is the 25th commemorative anniversary model of the USS Enterprise command bridge. And you can just see how it looks. It's, that's what it's going to look like pretty much when it's done. And so I've been working on this since last week. I've got the circle done. I need to remember to re-glue the part that I broke on Wednesday. And I almost had the captain's chair done today, but I messed it up. I made a huge mess of it. And so I need to repaint it. I put it over here because it has to be reprimed and totally repainted. I'm really unhappy about how that went. And now I'm working on prepping, getting the clearing off the sprue attachments and stuff like that on these panels. And then these are going to be multiply painted. I'm going to paint the backs of them the primer color just because the backs will show when the model is displayed. And then I don't know if I'm going to put the red. I'll probably try to put the red stripe on the edge. I'll probably try that at least. So there's a multi-step painting process on this where the top is going to be like a white. I'm going to hand paint the gray in here. See how that goes. This gets painted a dark metallic, this part here, and then this is going to be an off-white on the bottom. So there'll be a lot of masking and spray painting and unmasking and groaning about how badly it went and how the paint leaked and stuff like that. But I'm really I'm really unhappy about the captain's chair thing. My shortcut didn't work. My effort to do hand painting was coming along actually really quite well, and then one tiny little slip of the brush led to just a cascade of error. A cascade of error until it was unrecoverable. I mean, seriously unrecoverable, and it needs to be reprimed and started over. And that's what I'm going to do. So starting next week, I'd mentioned this. I'll say it again several times during the stream here. We've got a project going on at the house here that will require me to be doing stuff in the morning, be at the time when this would sort of be starting. And so I'm going to be starting later. I'm going to be starting at 11. That's the plan. The plan, and we'll see if that plan works. Find out on Monday if it's working or not. The plan is to start at 11 and then go until 1, maybe later, depending on how the work is going. So that's kind of what I'm looking at doing, because I need to be working on this house renovation project. and I'll be needing to do that almost the entire day. So I was actually thinking about suspending the stream, for a while, but I've already suspended it enough because of various and sundry trips and things like that I want to keep it going, but I need to do it on a reduced schedule while I get this other I guess I'll say it's actually more important because it's like real life stuff, fixing parts of the house, renovating parts of the house, as opposed to just building a model. Yeah, I'm making lots of noises today. I'm not sure why. So I had 2 New Year's resolutions, one of which was to not say this word that I kept saying all the time, and I've done really well. I think I've said that word only maybe twice, at most 3 times, since the start of the new year. So that resolution has been going really well. My other New Year's resolution was to keep my work surface neat and clean. That has not been going well. It's just staying cluttered. Maybe a little less cluttered than it has in the past, but still pretty cluttered. So I think next year, for a New Year's resolution, I'm not going to say as much. I'm not sure that I can completely eliminate the ums. Not sure about that. But I think I can reduce the frequency of umming. Maybe I'll even practice between now and then to see if that's a realistic resolution. I'm going to repeat my resolution of keeping my work surface uncluttered. I'm going to try again. I will continue to try the rest of this year, and then I will renew that resolution. Let's see. Find out how that goes, huh? Last week, when I was talking about what I might talk about while I'm doing this, because I don't have any background music, and so I'm just rambling on about things, muttering to myself mainly, maybe if anybody's paying attention. I try to keep an even tone of voice. Somebody once said, "I really enjoy your stream, it helps me go to sleep." I think that was a compliment. Somebody in Europe, where it's evening. I think that was a compliment that this stream is soporific. That's a good word, isn't it? Yeah, I know. I watch these other streams, and the thing to do nowadays is you have to move your head around and wave your arms. This is like that. That's how everybody streams nowadays. That's how influencers influence. Aren't you glad I don't do that? I mean, that little bit of a sample probably was enough to warn you off. But yeah, they're always yelling. I mean, it's almost, no matter who does it, male, female, old, young, the gestures and the tone of voice and everything are all the same. It's almost like it's AI is doing it. It's almost like it's AI generated. This is go on and on about this is the greatest thing. You got to have this. This is most, and while they're flailing their arms and moving their head around. And you don't even know what they're talking about. There was one where they seriously didn't even say what they were talking about. They went out of their way to say that they weren't going to say what they were talking about. It was the most bizarre thing. It was, I've spent $1 million on this thing. This is the most amazing thing. You have to have this thing. The only way to have this thing is to show up here at this time and date. And you'll be amazed at this thing. And I spent $1 million on it. And it's like, okay, so... But, it was the same thing with the head moving and the arms waving that everybody else does on their streams. And he went on for like it wasn't even like a 15, it wasn't even, what should have been maybe a 15-second arm waving, head bouncing, enthusiastic yelling kind of thing. It went on for like a full minute of this guy telling us that we had to be there because he spent $1 million on something, and we don't know what it is, but it'll be you won't know what it is unless you show up. That's the only way you can find out what this amazing thing is that he spent this money on, that he wants you to experience. Even that wasn't clear. So, what? I wasn't compelled to show up at this time and place to find out what this thing was that he was all excited about. Just wasn't. No, it was really, really bizarre. Not even a hint about what it was. Was it a pyramid scheme? Was it flipping houses? Was it, was everybody just going to get like a snow cone or something? There wasn't the slightest hint, really. Not even really a slightest hint about what it was that we were supposed to show up to see that he spent $1 million on. He said that several times. So we don't know why he spent $1 million, but it was enthusiastic. So maybe one of you did. Maybe one of you went there and found out what this thing was that he spent this money on. That was the absolute thing that you had to go there to find out what it was. You can maybe post it in Discord or something. You want me to do I did a flip earlier. I think that was, So what did you say, who? I really need to get my large print thing back again. Oh yeah, I'm gonna wave my arms and do a flip. Oh, okay, that's what it is. So those floppy guys, those floppy guy balloons that you see at, used car lots, or when somebody opens, a store where they're selling something they spent $1 million on, and you need to be there to see it. That's what these influencers kind of look like. They kind of look like those floppy guys. There was this video game that's been reissued several times, and it's become a classic. The Secret of Monkey Island. There's a whole series of them. I think the original series had 3. Then there was four of them. And then there was a follow-up, a series of 3, and then there was a new one put out by the original creators of this recently. But there's this guy named Stan who sells things. Is this 10? Looks like 19. And he's like that. He's always waving his arms and moving his head and having a great time being enthusiastic. So I think maybe these influencers they grew, maybe they saw a reissue of Monkey Island. Yeah. They saw a reissue and they saw Stan and they decided that's how you sell things. And so that's how they sell things. Maybe I'm an old fuddy-duddy or something. Of course I am. I'm old and I've always been a fuddy-duddy. Isn't that a great word, a great phrase? You can use that. You can say, I learned a new old thing from an old guy, fuddy-duddy. But I'm not influenced by people who are just over caffeinated or whatever drug they use before they record their influencer casts. My God, I've got 3 of these left. Yeah, it's not bad. It'll give me time to clean them up, wash them down, and tape them. So I'm old enough that I was in, guessing, 6th or 7th grade when the original Star Trek came out. You know, the original series. It wasn't called that then. It was just called Star Trek. They didn't have to call it the original series because there weren't any others. And it was, I have to say, it was an amazing thing for television. There were science fiction movies, of course, you know, classics like The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is a really good science fiction one. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, all sorts of things. There were space adventure movies, but there wasn't anything like Star Trek, where at the time the special effects were really special. They were amazing, you know, and I mean, you know, watched it every week to see what something new would happen. It was just really amazing, you know. And everybody in the grade school, you know, wanted to be one of the characters. Well, you're going to be Kirk or Scotty or Nurse Chapel or Uhura. You know, even the girls had, and we could say girls, I could say that because we were in 6th or 7th grade. the boys and the girls, we all wanted to be like different characters. I was going to be Spock. I decided it would, be logical and not too terribly emotional about things, and be the science officer. Didn't really identify with Kirk very much. Everybody in my grade school class decided that I could be Spock. That I even kind of looked like Spock a little bit. So there were certain episodes that just, real Trekkies. Know more about have learned more about the original series and the episodes. They probably, they know all of the episode numbers and all of what happened in all of the episodes. So I'm not going to just, even though I grew up with it, I'm not going to say I'm going to have to just be kind of careful, because I haven't studied Star Trek, so I haven't done that. I just have to report what I remember, which is not going to be, canon accurate. So the episodes that I remember most clearly, there are several that just really stuck with me. One was, but first, the Tranya. Okay. You meet this kind of molecule-shaped spaceship with this imposing-looking, grim-looking kind of thing on the view screen. What was amazing about that is that it actually looked like a puppet. It turned out that it was a puppet, a 26th century puppet or something. You'd think that the animatronics, those spacefaring species, would be a little better done than that. But then it turns out that was like the Wizard of Oz, behind the curtain kind of thing. I'm sure that that the show was never derivative like that, and like they would do let's do a Wizard of Oz thing. Why would they do that? But that's, it was sort of like that. But there was a lot to discuss when they finally got into the ship. But first, the Tranya. Everybody wanted Tranya. We didn't know what it was. There are rumors that it was, grapefruit juice or something, and that one of the people on the cast hated grapefruit, but they had to drink it anyway. I don't know if any of that is true, but, they're good stories, so why not? But we do know that the Tranya has to come first. I don't remember what filled most of the rest of it. It was, they met this mysterious, very threatening alien ship until they got to be friends. Someone pointed out to me once that, why do all these spacefaring alien species just have one drink, like Romulan ale, right? Or, can't see what number that is, 18? maybe it's just like the national drink. They might have hundreds of beverages, kind of like humans did. But there's just the one that features all the time. Kanar, Earl Grey hot. Probably until that happened, there were probably hundreds of thousands of people who had never had Earl Grey tea, didn't know what it was, didn't really think about it. But after you go tea Earl Grey hot enough times, and of course you're going to try it. So I'm going to speculate that there were seriously hundreds of thousands of people who, because of Star Trek, had their very first Earl Grey hot. I'm going to guess that many of them said, oh yeah, this is really great, because they wanted, to be like Picard. And then after probably they probably bought like really bad tea brands. The stuff that you get in bags usually is not very good. It's like oxidized. The flavor is gone. So that's probably what they were doing. I won't mention the brands. I probably could, but I won't mention the brands, but you probably know what they are. So the ones that are in all the grocery stores that have been sitting there on the shelf for a long time, and the best used by date is maybe exaggerated to begin with, and then expired. So there's hundreds of thousands of people who never even had tea, much less Earl Grey, tasted it. And some of them right away went, this is really not happening, and others, had pretended that they really liked it for a while. And then once they used up their last tea bag, that was the end of that. But there might have been some who liked it, and maybe even went on to like buy good tea, and then they tasted Earl Grey kind of like for the very first time almost. Oh, this one is a challenge. I think this is the main screen. Oh my. And it's got it's got divots on the bottom here. These back here, I just need to sand down. A decal goes over that. But I'm pretty sure this is the elevator. That's just going to be painted, but I think this one's going to take some work. I'm going to do that one last, because it's there's some serious molding flaws in a seriously bad spot. Some of these molding circles, including one that has brown around it, that are indented here, and I'm going to have to sand that down, get rid of those, because it's the main viewing screen, and it's right up in front. And even this is, I don't think, maybe I can, I'm going to lean over and check something. I'm going to see if this gets covered over. No, I'm going to bring it over later. There's a chance that the lip of the base might cover those, in which case that would be a good thing, because they shouldn't show. If it doesn't cover them, then I need to sand them out. there's very much excessive plastic from these sprue attachments. They go way deep into the surface of the... This one, not so much. It's like they angled up as they went along. So that was one episode, but first the Tranya. Well, I imagine that that spacefaring species, the Tranya species, had a name, but I don't know what that is. I do not remember. Another very memorable episode was the Gorn, where they stumbled onto and this was kind of a recurring theme. This happened more than once. You stumble onto a species that is testing them, to see if they should be exterminated or not, kind of thing. So they put the Gorn captain and Kirk on a planet and had them go at each other. And I don't remember if it was one of those episodes where that was a test to see what humanity was about, or whether they were just enjoying the competition. There were a couple of those where the species just said, well, we like gladiatorial kind of contests, and let's see how, since you showed up here, let's see how you do. There was some of that. But the Gorn thing was that, and the communication was cut off, but they could watch. So the people on the Enterprise could watch what was going on, but they couldn't help. It's like... So Kirk made a kind of a cannon. He found the components of gunpowder, which wasn't all that hard. There was, you found charcoal and an outcropping of sulfur. They just all happened to be there. That was handy. I think that was part of, they were probably seeded to see if one or the other of the combatants would find them and use them. There's a divot there too. That wasn't from the file. That's just something that's molded in. So this is going to look like an authentic television studio level recording set. In that, there's serious flaws in the plastic quality, and there. Like this, that's just going to show. There's no way that is not going to show. It'd take a lot of sanding to get that out. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a crease there where it didn't come out of the mold smoothly. It came out with a little indentation, a divot. This is the elevator. I guess those are the doors going into the elevator. You can't get into the elevator here. You can see the elevator doors. So I have to make a decision about whether I want the elevator doors to be painted a different color than the side panels. It's almost tempting to do that. To do that kind of unnecessary detail. if I could get the masking tape to work, that would be a straightforward thing to do. I would just paint it one color and then tape it along here and here. Taping on the bottom is, either way. I could tape the sides, or I could tape the door, depending on which color was lighter. Like I might paint, the side panels. I'm just speculating out loud. I've got this kind of nice blue-gray color that I could use for the elevator doors, and I could paint the side panels kind of the same off-white that I'm going to use for the base. For the base here. Let's see. Yeah, that's not the elevator there. That's some sort of other thing. It's a big panel of something. I'm not sure what. Yeah, I'm not going to go real, in real. I'm just going to use the spray paint that I've got, so the colors. But I think like this color down here, I might use that for the pure white, just for the panels up there. It's not a very nice color otherwise, but I could use this sort of whatever I end up using down here on the sides panels, and then use this kind of bluish color for the elevator doors. And if I have more luck with the demarcation line than I did with the captain's chair, it wouldn't take a lot of work to do that. I mean, it wouldn't be a very difficult thing to do if it worked out. If it didn't, well, then it's a mess. So what I might do is paint the whole thing that lighter color, including the doors, so that it was uniform to begin with, and then tape along here, and then spray paint the doors. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. What you're going to be watching on this, what you'll be seeing with the rest of this model is mostly just masking, is me masking for the next color, to paint these panels. That's what I'll be doing, then unmasking and going, oh, no, that was a disaster. I'll be doing that a lot. I'm pretty sure that that's how this is going to go. Hopefully it'll go better than the captain's chair. I'm fully intending it to be better than the captain's chair. Wow. That was not a good way to start the day, is with the unfolding disaster. Hi, Ole. Thanks for dropping in. I really appreciate it. Thank you. You need to watch the first 20 minutes of this stream. You need to watch the first 20 minutes of the stream to watch a disaster unfold. As I tried to do a shortcut painting job on the captain's chair, and it started out badly, that the paint got in under the tape somehow. And so I brush painted it, and I had like 95% of it correct, and then there was this little blip of paint, and then I tried to correct it, and it didn't go well, because I was using the spray paint over, to correct it, and it dissolved the paint underneath. And then I, of course, like I often do, I touch the wet paint with my finger and I touch the already painted surface. Yeah, it is a disaster. So, and it was, I tried to fix things, and every time I fixed things, it created another problem. And so, I know I should use an airbrush. I need to spend a half a lifetime learning how to use an airbrush again. Just, all I can remember is just getting paint everywhere, on my hands, on the surfaces, on the airbrush handle. I don't want to repeat that. But I think I have a good airbrush. We bought one some time ago to help with the dungeon tiles. So it's a really good quality airbrush. It's the kind where the little bottles like screw on instead of just held on with friction. That was fun. The first one I had, they were just held on with friction, and then they'd fall off. The paint didn't necessarily fall off, but when I was cleaning it, I had a glass jar full of the solvent to do the cleaning, and that fell off and broke, and I had glass, not only solvent spilled on the floor, but glass. But yeah, I really need to learn how to use an airbrush. So, yeah, it was enough of a disaster. It became unrecoverable. It really did. And so I'm going to be repriming it and starting from scratch, just starting to repaint the whole thing. There isn't any other way around it. Fortunately, this is a model of, this model is not supposed to be the Enterprise. It's supposed to be the television set, the whatever they call it, the thing where they recorded it. I guess that's the set, right? So if it looks a little bit like painted plywood, I guess that's probably all right. But it was an amazing sequence of events. You really should watch it. Ah, okay, the Might and Magic thing. Okay. Oh, yeah. Congratulations on your disasters. You could, since you're recording them and editing them, you can do an outtake kind of thing. That like funniest videos where they always show people just jumping off of the roof onto a little swimming pool with their bicycles and stuff like that. You could do a whole outtakes reel on disasters. But I'm glad to hear that it is kind of nice to know that even you sometimes have a little bit of a disaster happen. Not that I wish you disasters, but it's not just me then. But yeah, you should catch it if you have a chance. Watch it on when it's posted. Who knows how long that'll be? But when it's put up on YouTube, this episode, it's worth watching it unfold. It's reminding everybody that's how major accidents happen. It's just one small thing after the other that goes wrong and goes badly, and next thing you know, you got 3 Mile Island. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. That's kind of a feature of this stream, isn't it? Is when things go bad, It's not like the world is perfect and everything goes smoothly. Sometimes it goes very badly, and then what do you do with what it is? So learning how to fix things is a good thing. So far, I've been pretty lucky. I've been able to fix all of the disasters that I've created. And the captain's chair will eventually get fixed. I might have to do it twice more, because I'm going to try to repeat the thing that didn't work the first time, but by having it work the second time in terms of a shortcut. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, if this happens. So is your daughter enjoying this season? I know she moved up like 2 classifications in her skating. Is that going well? And I know she got new skates that fit better, so that must be helpful too. So just for you, Ollie, before you go, next week I'm going to be starting at 11 instead of 10. It's not because of a time change. That doesn't happen for another month or so, 2 months maybe. But I've got a project here at the house that I have to be working on that I need to be doing first thing in the morning. And I'm not sure how long it'll take, so I'm kind of planning on starting at 11. Maybe I'll start a little earlier if it goes well. So I'll be starting a little later the next couple of weeks while I'm doing that. Oh no. Oh, I know that you were sick. I hope your recovery went well. You were sick, 2 weeks ago? Had to stay home from work. Oh, that's really good. I can imagine that if her feet aren't hurting, that she gains more confidence in being able to do things. So that's really great. You'll have to send a video again if she's willing to have one. Oh my. Okay, that went down a good long time. I'm glad you're feeling better though. I shouldn't say that. Whenever I say something like that, I've been really lucky. I haven't been sick. Then it happens, right? The curse of reminding oneself, of telling oneself that things are going okay. So I'm glad you're better, and I'm glad she's feeling better too, and I hope she has a good practice. She must be very, very happy with the new skates. I bet her coach is very happy with her progress. Okay. See, it's interesting that you're not allowed to record practices. Oh, maybe that, it's a competition, right? Of course. You don't want spies looking at your practice for the competition. That just makes a whole lot of sense. And then the coach uses them, to help them prepare. Yeah, I can just imagine how well she's doing, and how great her competition is going to be. So I hope she has a really good practice today. And I'll be looking forward to seeing her perform in a couple of weeks. Ah, I see. Okay. Right, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you were just filming your own child, that's one thing, but everybody's on the rink, and so everybody is on. That just makes a lot of sense. Okay. Thanks for explaining that. Well, I got about an hour. I might end up a little early today, depending on how this goes and what I decide to do. Well, I don't know. By the time I get these taped and ready to, cleaned off and ready to be primed, it might be regular quitting time anyway. See you next week. Like I said, I'll be starting probably about 11 instead of 10. Have a good practice. Thanks for dropping in, Ollie. Okay. So I'm going to do a couple things here sequentially, more sort of. Jeez. Just another thing where I tried to do a little bit of a shortcut, and it didn't work. I just knocked something on the floor. I have to pick it up. I need to see if this piece here, this is the bottom, these circles here need to be sanded out or not. And the way to do that is to find out to move this here. This is the base. This goes here like that. It's the main viewing screen. And as you can see, it's detached. I need to adhere that. Oh yeah, it covers it. That is really good news. I didn't think it would because it doesn't look that tall. It's a little bit deceptive, but that'll cover it up nicely, so I don't have to mess with it. Well, this is out. I'm just going to take a couple of moments here to mix up a little bit of epoxy and reconnect this because it came off. And then I'm going to wipe down all those pieces that I just was sanding and filing and put some tape on them so that I can spray paint the backs of that with the primer color. I'm just using epoxy because it grabs hold pretty quickly. Gives me a chance to get epoxy all over my fingers. So I was saying, starting to talk a little bit about remembering Star Trek when Star Trek was just Star Trek, okay? When you didn't have to have a TOS or a DS9 or Voyager or any of that because all there was just Star Trek. Made it a lot easier. Didn't have to remember anything other than Star Trek, which was on, I can't remember, it was on like Wednesdays or Thursdays, fairly early in the evening, if I recall. It wasn't really late. No one, I'm pretty, they didn't think it was going to catch on. They thought whoever was producing it, and you all know the story, of course, about how it almost got canceled after the first season, and then there was a huge uprising among the fan base. And then it got to continue. Really, there were a huge number of episodes, and some of them I remember pretty clearly, and some of them, it's like, oh, I guess that happened. So the Tranya one, that's just a total classic, because the Tranya is the first thing, first the Tranya. It's like a Star Trek cliche now, right? There was the episodes where we met the Klingons. That was kind of funny, because later on, there was one of these time travel episodes, and they went back to that episode, and Worf was with them, and it's like, those are Klingons. We don't talk about that. Genetic mutation. There was a failed effort. There was, a lot of stuff becomes canon in Star Trek, and when the original series happened, nobody cared about that, right? So if things were inconsistent from one episode to the next, or the timeline was wrong, or it didn't make sense, and it was episodic, so there really weren't any references. It was rare to have references to another episode in an episode. And that was an unusual thing. Sometimes there were 2-episode-long things. And occasionally there were recurring characters, like Mud. Mud was pretty fun. Okay. He came back a couple of times. So some of those things would happen, but no one was really thinking about the continuity of the canon of Star Trek during the original series, and so I'm sure that there has been great difficulty since then in trying to explain some of those things and tying them together. Although that happens, like with the new one, Strange New Worlds, which happened before the original series on the same ship, based on Pike from the pilot, and he showed up again, during a classic episode of going back to the Forbidden Planet when Spock convinced them to let him do that. Anyway, yes. what I was saying was that when the original series was made, there wasn't any need to, desire to. Oh my God. Okay, as I was trying to put these together, I split it on the other side. So now I get to do this again. So I started out today with kind of a disaster. Okay, and it looks like I am doing my best to continue on that trend, and created yet another disaster. So now I need to mix up more epoxy for the other side. I'm going to try to not mess with this while it sets, right? And then I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees. Just sometimes there are just days like that. Wasn't there a song like that? And here, this is coming apart too. It'll be days like this, my mama says. Epoxy is supposed to hold. It's not supposed to break like this. Okay, well, this is broken enough that it's, I'm going to let this one set, and it's broken enough in two other places. You can see it separating here, that I'm just going to wait until next week probably. If I were to work on this now, I wouldn't get these parts taped so that I can paint them over the weekend, and that would actually delay. It would slow down construction. Whereas this is just an annoyance. This doesn't have to be fixed again until all of those parts are actually painted, which will be quite a while. So I've got a long time between now and then to get this done. Just like the captain's chair. That was an annoyance, really. But if I have to redo it like this one more time, and even one more time after that, it's not, other than the time it takes to fix the problem, okay? Other than the time it takes to fix it, it's not slowing down the total construction of the model. I mean, it is slowing it down. It is slowing it down in that it is taking time that shouldn't be taken, doing things that shouldn't have to be done. Right? I mean, that's happening. But in the scheme of things, it's not like that has to be done as a first step before something else. It's not sequential. It can be done in parallel. So I'm going to let this one set, and then I'm not going to fix the rest of them unless there's time left at the end of the stream, because I do want to get on, and this would be sequential. Okay, it is sequential and consequential in that if I don't get the backs of these painted, which I shouldn't even have to really be doing, but I'm going to anyway. If I don't get the backs of these painted, then I can't get the fronts painted, and that'll just stop it. So that is a thing that needs to happen in that sequence. So this broke on Friday, and in the process of fixing it, I broke it in two other places. It is kind of a captain's chair moment again. Yep. Sometimes that is how things go. And how they sometimes go is poorly. So the whole thing is a little wobbly. Okay, it's not perfectly flat. But there, that's holding. I'm just going to go ahead and start taping these. I'm not taping over paint, so I'm just going to use cheap tape. I'm just going to use regular painter's tape and pieces of paper. And I can't really move this very much. gosh, my work surface is totally messed up. Totally cluttered. I had these out, these to paint. I was going to very successfully, but didn't get around to it, painting the little buttons on the captain's chair because that didn't happen. I don't need this because I'm not going to be epoxying. Wow. Well, that's how today went. Okay, I'm going to get the isopropyl alcohol and I'm going to wipe down all of these parts, get the sanding dust off of them because there is a fair amount of it. And then I'm going to come back and tape them so that I can paint the backs of them the primer color so that they look better than just the plain plastic. I don't know. That's probably a bad move. Maybe I should just leave them the plain plastic. I will make that decision after I wipe them all down. They might be okay just as is. I might just decide that. I am on my way. I'm on my way to deciding not to paint the backs of these. And then I'll need to decide instead painting the fronts of them. Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting rid of the circles. I got rid of the lumps and things. It's not going to look any different, other than it's going to be gray, and dark gray instead of light gray. It'll look like it's painted. This one needs a little more work. Yeah, these do. Come back to them. Okay, well, I just made a decision that I think is the correct one, which is to not paint the backs of these like I was thinking of doing. And just leave it the plain plastic. This is, after all, a recording studio set. This isn't supposed to be the Star Trek Enterprise. If this was the Star Trek Enterprise, I'd be being much more compulsive about trying to make it look amazing, but it's not. So I'm going to, I need to do more sanding on these because I missed spots of things that need to be sanded down. Even if I just leave the bare plastic, there's those bubbles, those little. You can probably see them as I move it around. You can see that there. These are clean. I'll put these out of the way. I should have noticed these when I did it. When I cleaning up the first time, but I didn't. This won't take too long. Just these little dimples of plastic from the molding process that are on there, and they're ugly. So I'm going to do a little taping and some masking. Got a half hour left. I should be able to do that. So that I can get on with painting the fronts. What I should just do is do it like I would if I were like 8 or 10 years old. I should just cement it together and stick the decals on and say it's done. There it is. Look at that. But I guess I'm going to be a little more compulsive about it. Okay, well, it's not perfect, but it's much better. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that making the decision to not paint the backs of these, it'll move this along more quickly and eliminate potential source of sort of disaster, maybe. I mean, the backs of this they're just going to look like it was, like I said, this is supposed to be a model of the studio set, not a model of the Enterprise. So, you know, it's supposed to look like painted plywood and stuff like that. That's my excuse. I do need to get that brown color off. I'm not sure I don't know why that's brown. I mean, that's just ugly. There. So these are unfortunately a little bit challenging to paint. now that I'm looking at them and seeing what I'm getting into. I'm going to pull one of these out and just show it to you and let you know what I'm getting into here. So the bottoms of these, like, here, the bottoms of these are kind of like an off-white, kind of grayish white. I think I've got one like that. The tops up here are pure white. I'm going to just paint these white, and then I think this looks good. I'm going to try to hand paint this gray color in around the edges here. Okay, not so much in here. Decals go on there. Those can be on white, but all gray around here. There's this red stripe here. So I'm thinking this is going to be painted this metallic color. That'll be the last color I put on because it's the darkest. I was thinking what I'm going to do is going to be dark underneath there too. I'm looking at this and it's like, yeah, that's dark underneath there. I was thinking it had to be white, but it's going to be the same color as this. That makes it a lot easier. Is that I'm going to paint I might just paint this whole thing white. I might just paint it this white color and then mask the top and paint the bottom. I mean, it would be faster, I think, if I did that, if I just painted it white and didn't really, well, it's going to be translucent. Up here it doesn't matter much. I'm going to tape this off down here. Okay, but I'm not going to bother taping this. I'm going to just paint it all white because the dark paint will go over the white and it'll be like a primer for that. That'll be fine. But I'm going to tape it down here and mask this underneath, okay, because this is going to be painted red later. So it's easy enough to put mask around that. These kind of cover each other up like that. That's okay. It's okay, yeah. And then I'm gonna, since I'm leaving the back just plain plastic, I'm gonna put some masking tape around the edges. Yeah, okay. So this will take a while. I got a half hour. Let me dive into this now that I decided what to do. Like I said, I'm doing this. There's no paint on this, so I can just use this kind of tape. This bit that I'm covering will be painted a different color later. I have to decide what to do about the bottom lip here. I think I'll paint the bottom lip of that. I'm not going to paint that red. I'll paint that, eventually I'll paint it the same color as this. I'll tape right along that edge. This is easy enough. I'm just going to just wrap the tape around it. This will look really sloppy, but I've got a lot of this tape and So there it goes. What I'm really just trying to do is cover up this bit down here. Yeah, I know. It's getting late in the stream. I'm getting clumsy. I'm dropping stuff. It's just, that's a feature. That's a feature. Slow down. Just slow down. Get it done. Pair of scissors. Get the tape on straight. Don't have to do it 4 times over. And if you do it straight the first time. I'm just cutting this off so that it doesn't wrap around it. Yeah, this will be okay. I'm going to paint this all white. And then mask across the top when I paint this later. The sides need to be painted. Paint those white. I'm just going to cover this up. Just, you know, the spray just goes everywhere, so just cover that. I don't know what's going to go on with that. It's a tab that fits into something. So I'm really not sure, so I'm just going to cover it up. Just in case it needs to be, like, not painted white. Okay, so the thing I'm trying to do here now is I'm going to paint the. This is going to stay white, except for in here. This is going to be painted metallic gray. So what I'll be doing is maybe I may end up just leaving this masking tape on. Okay, and then taping over here. Yeah, that would work actually. I can just leave a lot of this tape as is if I do it in that sequence. Paint this all white. Mask along here, including the edges, paint this, okay, and then I can mask all the rest of that and paint the bottom last. That is the plan. Let's see how that goes. Now I've got a plan. I am the man with a plan. having done one, these are going more quickly. And as Ole Brager said, if it really goes badly, just repaint it. I can just do that. Okay, well, there's two. It isn't going to hurt too much to have white paint down there, but because I'm going to be painting the dark color before I unmask it, I want to do that. Yeah, I'm rushing a little bit. I want to get this done. I'd like to get this done before 1 o'clock. But I'm going to keep going until it's finished because I want to get these things painted and you know, move things along with the model, which I believe I will be able to do if these things get painted. If I get too much paint on the back, I can just sand it or scrape it off, actually. I don't want to be doing a whole lot of that, but I can because it's just going to be the bare plastic. Like around the edges, that kind of thing. Let's see how this white paint works. I haven't used it other than as a test. I used it as a test patch, and that's about it. So I don't know. We'll see how it covers. It might be okay, it might not. It's one of the things to be To be determined. Who joined in? I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the chat screen. Happy little accidents, yeah. Or in this case, this morning, it was a happy big accident. It was a big oops. That was, if I ever got my oops screen, you know, I'd have my minor oopses and my major oopses, and this morning was, that was a major oops. There's no doubt about the qualification of that oops. But fortunately, I think I can just, like Wally said, I'm just going to reprime it. And just start over. It'll just, I mean, it's just going to take some time that could be spent on building more of the model, you know, instead of having to redo things. But it is what it is. It has to be redone. There's just no way around it. And sometimes if things just have to be redone, they just get redone. So I'll be repriming the captain's chair this weekend. And why didn't I that could have been a problem. I never recapped the alcohol after I used it to clean up. Did I forget to do this one? Well, since I'm just leaving it bare plastic, if I've got issues on the back that need to be resanded, fortunately, I can just do it later. All right. So these are going to be painted white. Not much of the white is actually going to end up showing. Just around the edges here, really. I'm going to try to paint, maybe I'll paint inside of these, I'm not sure. We'll see how it turns out. So after that's painted white, I'm going to mask the white part, like right along these edges, okay? And then paint this, the dark metallic color, and then unmask the whole thing at that point, okay? And then run the masking tape across all of that and paint the bottom. And at some point there's a red stripe that gets painted across here. I may or may not try to do that. I don't know. We'll see. Depends on how brave I am. really not sure how these sides are going to go. They kind of connect to each other. I mean, this is where they adhere to each other, so it may not be that critical to keep them from being painted. I really don't know yet. Okay, the elevators are going to get painted a different color. It's the base color that's going to get painted down here, and the blue color. I don't know what this is. It's just a side panel. I'm not sure if I want that painted white or not. Actually, I like this one to be painted kind of a light gray color. Kind of like the base color. Yeah, this is going to be painted the same color as the bases, so that and the elevator are going to wait until the bottoms of these get painted, which is 2 steps away. This is the main view screen. Oh, that's cool. All these little light up things down here are supposed to be painted like translucent, fluorescent oranges and yellows. That'll be fun. I'm going to see, this is kind of that grayish color. That's the one I was muttering about. I didn't know what to do with it. This looks like it's going to be, I'm going to paint this all white. Okay. And then paint the bottom and the top. See how it's kind of a darker color here and here? The same color as that and that. I think I can mask that so that just the top and the bottom get painted this darker color. We'll see how it looks when it's white, and then make that decision later. Okay, so I'm gonna paint these that white color. Most of it's going to end up being painted over with a darker color. So the white color is going to go on this weekend, and then I'm going to mask the tops of these. Okay, and then paint this the darker color all the way around like that. And then the parts that are painted will get masked, and I'll be painting the base. This one I might spend some time on. It might be worth it because it's the main viewing panel. So I'll check the tape before I spray paint these. I'm going to put them in a box. I'm just going to get a box. Hold on. Just to carry them so that they're not loose and flopping around. I'll check the tape again before I spray paint them. These two get painted different color. No, that hasn't broken yet, and then I'll have to fix these parts that broke off. The epoxy failed. I don't know why, but it did. Okay, I'll take the tape up with me in case I need it, and I'll get the color that I need. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to try to clean up the workbench a little bit and just say thanks for dropping in. Next week, I am going to be, on Monday at least, well, most of the week, I'm planning on pretty much just from 11, starting at 11 instead of 10. I'm starting 11 instead of 10 because we have an important construction project happening, and I believe I'm going to be needing the mornings before the stream to work on parts of that. And here you can look at this. You can look at this broken thing. Yay, broken thing. One step forward, two steps forward, one step back, and that's how this has been. This is the step back. It doesn't take long, it's like 15 minutes to mix up a couple of bits of epoxy and hold them together for 5 minutes so they don't fall apart. But, it's time that could be spent not repairing things that shouldn't be broken to begin with. So that's something to do on Monday, is to repair that, and do some more masking, and then some painting, and then some unmasking, and then remasking, and some more painting, and then hopefully that'll all turn out. So thanks for watching. I'll be back again on Monday, like I said, though, probably at like 11 rather than 10. I'll see how things go this weekend. So, check in on Monday, but plan on starting at 11 instead of 10 because we've got that construction project to be working on. And, I'll be going back to trying to get the captain's chair to work again. See ya. Thanks for dropping in.